Hello, beautiful beings. It is Sunday, and I'm just chilling in my house, about to go out for a walk because it's beautiful weather. It's like 75 right now. So this video, as you can tell most likely by the title, is about how I came to be a fruit-based vegan. So that was a requested type of video, and I feel like that's a good kind of video to do. So let's just get right into it. Basically, when I was 14, I went vegan for a month when I was 14 because I was at a Warped Tour concert, right? And there was a PETA tent. So there was a PETA tent, and I was exposed to all the animal cruelty that happens when you eat animal products, especially meat, eating the flesh of animals, which is, they're grinding baby chicks alive and just slaughtering billions and trillions of animals every year, fish, pigs, chicken, cows, you name it. So I didn't want to be a part of that. So I went vegan for a month, and then I decided that it was a little challenging for me because I didn't have a job of my own, so I couldn't necessarily buy all my own food. I was 14. I lived at my parents', and they were supportive of me, but also didn't necessarily go out of their way to get me different types of food. So at that point, after a month, I decided to be vegetarian, but I didn't drink milk or anything, and I didn't eat eggs. So I was basically vegan except for like cheese and things that had milk in it, like milk products in like Doritos, for example, like things that contain milk, but I didn't necessarily see it. So there was a little bit of cognitive dissonance happening with me for a little while. But I ate fairly healthy. I've always kind of have been a pretty healthy eater. So yeah, and that was 2014. So I was like that for a while, and I slowly started eating less and less processed kind of vegan foods like veggie burgers and things like that. But when I first started going vegetarian, I was pretty into that, right? And when I went out to eat, that was what I got. And I got kind of tired of eating the veggie burgers over and over and over again, and like kind of just having simple foods that didn't necessarily make me feel that great. So in 2017, I moved out, and I lived with my best friend at the time. We were both vegan. So she went vegan when we moved out, but I went vegan in August of 2017. So, like right after my birthday, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have my birthday cake and then I'll be vegan, right? Kind of thing. So I was vegan. Pretty easy for me to transition to that. I just had to work on like getting rid of cheese. And once I've learned more and more about where cheese come from, what it has in it, it's just, I didn't even consider it something to be consumed. And humans shouldn't be consuming it because we're not baby cows, drinking milk and the secretion from the udder of a cow. So I looked at it like that, like in a very literal sense, right? So the whole vegan household was where I lived, so it was pretty easy actually. So I was like that for a little while, not the healthiest, but also not super unhealthy. But at the time I did have some stomach issues. I was eating more high fat, but I still had like smoothies and stuff often. But I wasn't as vibrant and healthy as I should be, right? As a 20 or 21-year-old, really. And I was still drinking alcohol at the time, like 21, 22. But after that, I stopped drinking alcohol in like 2019, really. 2020, I'd say. Early 2020, I stopped drinking. And I also stopped drinking caffeine in 2020. Like coffee, I used to drink coffee all the time. That could have been where a lot of my stomach issues came from too, was drinking a lot of caffeine. Can really mess up your digestive system. So if you're having belly issues, try to cut out caffeine for a month or two. to see how that helps just in of itself. So I slowly stopped eating these processed vegan foods and started focusing a little more whole foods, eating potatoes and things like that. In 2020, you know, COVID happened and everything, and I'm like sitting here at home, like not being super active, and I'm thinking, I'm doing research. I'm like, how can I feel like I want to do more working out, and so I got a gym membership to Planet Fitness, and I started working out. I'm like, oh, I want to be like a healthier version of myself, a more vibrant, more energized version of myself. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, I love fruit and I love this, I love that. And so I tried it out, right? And I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. Eating a lot of fruit during the day. I have a smoothie every single day at this point. And then on, it's been like that. I've been having a smoothie basically every single day to start the day. That's how you get the best digestion and the best energy, top tier. So 2020, I would go to the gym, I would start drinking smoothies every day. And at this point, I basically cut out all of the processed kind of like vegan alternatives. And I just felt better like eating whole foods. And maybe if I wanted something like that, I would have like tofu or beans and stuff like that. But slowly, I started eating more fresh foods and less processed foods. So that was one thing that made a huge impact on my skin as well as my energy levels. It was a major difference. So that's 2020. Fast forward, the end of 2020, I found myself kind of feeling lethargic at times, even though I'm eating a bunch of calories. I'm having a bunch of beautiful vitamins and minerals and nutrients from these foods. But I'm like, all right, so I'm having some brain fog and like body acne and stuff still. And sometimes there's a process of elimination when you're eating a lot of whole foods and kind of getting rid of stuff out of your microbiome, out of your liver. It comes out of your skin. It can also come out in the form of bloating and gas. So, I mean, that's like a transitionary thing. So it's not something that's going to last forever. So I kind of got over that. Except like I would have continued bloating as well as like body acne. And I would kind of feel like bleh, not that energized as I feel like I wanted to be. So some of my relatives are gluten-free at this time. So I was like, I've never thought about being gluten-free. I never thought I had a problem with gluten or anything, but I'm like, hey, I'm gonna test it out. My cat's meowing, it's really annoying now. I'm gonna test it out, see how I feel. So this was like basically a New Year's resolution for me in 2021. I started eating less gluten and I did gluten-free pasta instead. I would try gluten-free bread, but that I wasn't really even a bread person to begin with. At first, when I was eating all those veggie burgers and stuff, I'm like, yeah, bread, carbs. But turns out there's a lot of sodium and a lot of preservatives in there, so I don't really want to consume that either. So that was kind of new for me, but really not that hard. I really liked the gluten-free pasta. I could eat it and not feel like just kind of bleh afterwards for me personally. Not everybody is like sensitive to gluten, so you don't necessarily have to go gluten-free at all. But if you're having some issues after being like fruit-based or like vegan and low fat, high carb, low fat, and you find yourself still bloated after like 6 months after transitioning and you still eat gluten, try to get rid of gluten for like 3 months and see how your body reacts. Because I stopped having body acne. Like these are like, you know, little moles here and there. But I don't have any body acne. And that went away 100%. Also when I stopped eating oil too. At the same time, I went like high carb, low fat. I stopped eating oil and like fried food, right? That was in 2021 or 2020. That made a huge difference on my skin too, but I still felt like my facial skin, it made more of a difference, but I still had body acne after stop eating gluten for like 3 months. all the body acne went away and it never comes back unless I like sweat a lot and I don't shower immediately. But other than that, I don't have any body acne and I have like no bloating, like at all, unless I eat a lot. But like even then some, I feel like a stomach distension is not the same feeling as bloating, and it's not the same thing anyway. Like eating a lot doesn't necessarily mean you'll always be bloated. My cat might come up on my lap. But anyway, so in 2021, I went gluten-free, and I'm still gluten-free, and it's 2024. So it's been about 3.5 years, and I think 2020, 21, 22, 2022, 2023, 2024. Yeah, so about 3.5 years or so about, and I feel great. I don't miss it really at all. I just feel like I don't need it, but if you want it and you don't have a problem, that's fine. Just make sure it's like a whole grain. That's the best, obviously, whole grain. Not like super refined, enriched white bread. Obviously, it's probably gonna give you problems and water retention in the body. So I wouldn't recommend that, but whole foods, whole grains are fine. Personally, that's what I did, and that's what I still continue to do. And slowly and slowly and slowly, I started just feeling really good, feeling really energized, and just having a zest for life, let me tell you. Yeah. So all throughout 2021, I would go to the gym, feel really good, eat high carb foods, always fruit during the day. Like this was like a huge thing for me. If I didn't have, so at this time, if I didn't have fruit for lunch, but I always have it for breakfast at this point, and continuingly right now, I would have like a salad with a lot of greens, a lot of cucumbers, tomatoes, and avocados. And then for dinner, I would have like some veggies, and at this time I really wasn't eating as many beans or anything, and I still don't, only like a few times a week. I find that's the best for me and my digestion. And yeah, and I do like beans, just not a lot. Like before, I would eat so many beans, like when I was like just vegan, not like a high carb, low fat vegan. I would eat a lot of beans and I would get very bloated because I would eat just too many beans, really. Like beans are not bad. Beans are amazing and legumes are amazing. So if you eat like a small amount, that's fine. But I was eating like 1 or 2 cans a day. Yeah, ridiculous. So I eat about a half a can every 2 or 3 days. Sometimes more. It just depends on what I want and how I feel, and if I'm having something else to like give me more fiber or more protein or whatever it is. It's just about what kind of you're in the mood for and what you need in your diet. And nobody needs animal parts. Plants are where it's at. So, in 2022, I just went fully fruit-based, and yeah, ever since then I've been that way. No oil, no gluten, no animal products. But there are thousands of plants, and I try new stuff all the time. I try new fruits all the time. I try new recipes all the time. I try new veggies all the time. New root vegetables all the time. Like the chiyoga beets. Like if you don't know what chiyoga beets are, they're really pretty and taste really good roasted. They're like white and pink, like spiral, and like it's really pretty. But and very vibrant, full of life and just amazingness. So I would eat a lot, and when I started eating more, I lost some weight, and like not like bad weight, like not like muscle or anything. I was about like 125 pounds, and I could tell I had excess fat, right? And that's not even really big, it's just excess fat. Also water retention too. When I stopped eating gluten, and when I stopped eating gluten, when I started eating more fruit and like less protein, I felt amazing, and my skin got better. My digestion got better. Like I used to have irritable bowel syndrome like symptoms all the time, kind of like here and there, but nowadays, never. My bowel movements are amazing. So they have been. But yeah, let's see. But if you're trying to go immediately to fruit-based after coming from like a conventional standard American diet, it might be just tough on your microbiome at first. Because if you're used to eating a high protein diet, if you're used to eating animal flesh and secretion, if you're used to eating inflammatory foods or just low fiber foods in general, and you start incorporating high water foods, high glucose foods really, and high fiber foods, not saying it's a bad thing, but maybe going slower, right, would be beneficial for you to limit the amount of bloating, because sometimes your microbiome can take about 6 to 8 weeks to repopulate the good bacteria. If you have dysbiosis, which is more bad bacteria than the good bacteria, it'll be uncomfortable for you at first because you have more bad bacteria that all the good things that you're eating now are eating up the bad bacteria in your gut. So now they're gonna try to get out through bloating, through gas that can cause bloating, kind of stomach cramping, and maybe going slower in transitioning to a fruit-based diet would be beneficial. But you could do it like overnight if you wanted. But it could be harsh at first, let's say, because the body's eliminating toxins. So that's a good thing. Bloating can be a good sign because you're getting rid of that. If you have acne, if you have zits, that's a good thing at first. I had a little bit of that too. When I started eating more and more and more fruit, I would get a little bit here, and that's hormonal. A lot of the times is your neck and your chin. I would get some at first, but not a lot because I was already pretty much vegan and I was already vegan, but I was already pretty much healthy. I just wanted to eat more high carb foods and less like high fat foods that are processed. So I went through a slower transition from someone who would be eating like chicken and fries and burgers and stuff to overnight eating a fruit-based diet. It could get uncomfortable at first because your body's full of toxins basically, but it's not the fruit's fault, right? The fruit isn't necessarily causing the bloating. If you had a low-fat diet, you wouldn't be having these issues because you wouldn't have as much bad bacteria like a low-fat vegan diet. So it's not the fruit's fault necessarily. It's the fruit is exposing the issues that you already had that you were continuing to feed, right? We want to get rid of that and continually feed our good gut bacteria, continuing to feed or to nourish our liver to be able to eliminate toxins. So it doesn't have to come out of our skin, which is our largest organ. And it's also an organ of elimination. So if you're having skin issues when you're transitioning to a fruit-based diet, don't be alarmed, right? It's not because you're eating too much sugar. It's not anything like that. The fruit is exposing the issues that you've already had present in your body. And now it's getting it out. And it's fantastic. Just be patient. Nothing good happens overnight. But yeah, and the more you eat fruit, the less you eat highly processed foods, foods high in fat, even like processed vegan foods high in fat, high in oil that are fried. Obviously, you don't want to eat anything from an animal because that's just going to continue to feed the toxic elements in your body. So yeah, and so a day like a normal day for me is like a huge smoothie in the morning after I have like orange juice and water, maybe like a melon too, a huge melon to start the day and really be hydrated. And a lunch would be like maybe a big smoothie bowl with like cut up mangoes and dates sprinkled with like coconut flakes and raspberries, chia seeds a little bit to maybe some pumpkin seeds here for some extra fat and protein. Yeah, sorry, that was a motorcycle or something outside. And then for maybe like a snack, I'd have more fruit. Just the more fruit, the better. I could eat like raisins or dates, some dried apricots or some fresh peaches right now, or fresh cherries. I've been overloading with the cherries, but there's no such thing as overloading, but I've been eating a lot of cherries, let's say, and I feel great. My skin feels great too. Apricots are skin food for one too. I had like 6 apricots this morning. So anyway, for dinner, it would be a high carb, low fat, some legumes here too. So for example, let's do maybe like some roasted potatoes with like some steamed veggies, a bunch of roasted potatoes and steamed veggies, and maybe even like a baked sweet potato, so a bunch of that. And then I would do a big salad too. I do like romaine lettuce, a little bit of cucumbers, a little bit of tomatoes, a little bit of guacamole for some fat and fiber. And I do my own dressings, whether it be like a pesto sort of dressing or like a garlic sort of dressing, or like I do this vegan spicy honey mustard sort of thing. You just gotta be like a little creative and have a fun time, because I have fun every time I eat. That's just how it should be. And you should eat as much as you care for, as much as your body needs you to, because you need nourishment, you need fuel. And yeah, so a big high carb dinner with lots of greens, spinach. Spinach is really good too. I have spinach almost every day. Sometimes I like freeze the spinach to put in like smoothie bowls or a smoothie for some extra green loveliness. And I don't ever snack at night, really. If I do have anything, maybe just some more nuts or something like that. Sometimes I make like oat cookies that I have a recipe for in my Fruit is Fuel book down there. 30 recipes, a bunch of desserts, dinners, sauces, lunches, smoothies, breakfasts. So yeah, get yours. It's only $9.99 down below. If you want to start going high carb, low fat, you could slowly add in some new recipes, slowly just take away the cheese, slowly stop eating cholesterol so you can lower your cholesterol too. Who knows? But thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in any way. I would love to hear your comments down below, your experience going fruit-based or vegan or vegetarian, or just simply eating more plants and drinking more smoothies, because you know I'm a smoothie girl. So I hope that made sense too, like the timeline I gave you made sense, because sometimes I just, yeah, so yeah. Here's my blue light glasses. I can't wear them because my ring light gets exposed. Anyway, that's my cat in the window. Meow, 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 meow. All right, well, thanks so much for watching again, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Like this video down below if you like it. If not, don't like it, do your thing. And comment down below if you have any questions or want to just kind of give me an idea of what other videos to make. I'm always down. Giving myself a hug, I need it. I'm always down to try to talk about new different things, and take a look at my podcasts too, because I'm going to be uploading podcasts as well. But I will upload the podcast video on YouTube as well if you want to like watch, but you can also just listen to the podcast too. So yeah, I hope you have a wonderful evening, day, night, or wherever and whatever you're doing. I hope you have an amazing one, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Have a blessed day.